So, uh, I want you to think about the last time you were trying to solve a problem online. Like, say you heard this weird noise your refrigerator was making, or, I don't know, you're trying to understand some complicated new tax rule.
Mm-hmm.
Did you actually type it into Google automatically, or did you uh, open up a prompt in ChatGPT? Because search behavior is fundamentally shifting right under our feet right now.
Yeah, completely.
And, what happens behind the scenes to determine which information you actually end up seeing, it's undergoing this massive structural revolution.
It really is. The mechanics of how information is served to you are just completely changing because for a long time, the assumption in digital marketing has been, well, if your traditional SEO, like your standard search engine optimization, if that was good enough for Google, you would just naturally show up in AI answers,
Right.
right?
Like a bonus?
Exactly. People treated it like this happy accident. Like, oh, great, the AI picked me up too.
But the reason that assumption is actually super dangerous is detailed in this fascinating framework we are unpacking today. It comes from Alexander Robinson III over at Smart Target Digital.
Yeah, it's a great piece.
It is. So for today's deep dive, we are looking at the hidden mechanical differences between traditional SEO and this emerging field of AI SEO. We're going to figure out how the internet is essentially being rewired for language models and what anyone with a website must do to avoid just becoming completely invisible.
Right, and Robinson makes this really compelling point right out of the gate. He says relying on strong, traditional SEO and just hoping for AI inclusion is literally relying on luck.
Wow, just luck.
Yeah, because the specific efforts that get you to the top of Google are fundamentally different from the efforts that get you cited by an AI. They just are.
So the best way I can kind of visualize traditional Google SEO, it operates like this massive beauty pageant.
Well, yeah, yeah.
You have millions of web pages. They're all dressing up in their best evening gowns, and they're trying to win that coveted blue link at the very top of the search results.
Yeah.
And to win that, you need to look good. You need the smooth performance, and you really want a lot of friends or, backlinks cheering for you in the audience to prove you are popular.
Exactly. It's a popularity contest.
Yeah.
But AI SEO is it's less of a pageant and much more like prepping an expert witness for this ruthless cross-examination.
Oh, man.
Yeah. The AI does not care about the pageantry. It doesn't care how pretty your website design is or your branding. It just wants you to sit on the stand and deliver these clear, verifiable, extractable facts instantly, like zero fluff.
Which brings up the core paradigm shift that Robinson describes. To understand how to optimize for an AI, we first have to look at what the AI is actually trying to achieve, compared to a traditional search engine.
Right.
Google's entire architecture evaluates hundreds of signals just to rank pages. So it's essentially giving you a curated list of destinations.
Yeah.
Like, here is where you should go.
Whereas platforms like ChatGPT, they operate on a totally different wavelength. They are not trying to send you somewhere else.
Right. They want to keep you there.
Exactly. They scan multiple sources, they look for a consensus among the data, and then they consolidate it into a single generated answer right there on your screen. So the mantra of this whole framework is pretty simple. Traditional SEO is built for ranking. AI SEO is built for extraction.
Built for extraction.
Yeah. You are no longer competing to win a blue link. You're competing to become the source data.
Okay, competing to become the source. Let me process that for a second, because if I'm a brilliant copywriter, right, and I have spent weeks crafting this beautifully written, flowing narrative masterpiece on a topic.
Right.
Shouldn't both Google and the AI love that?
Yeah.
Like, if it is genuinely the best piece of content, I would assume it wins in both arenas.
You'd think so, but not anymore. And the reason really comes down to how machines actually read text. See, Google favors readability and these flowing narratives because its ultimate goal is to satisfy a human reader. It rewards the human experience. But an AI, a large language model, it really struggles with those long, flowing narrative walls of text. It requires what Robinson calls extractability.
Because it's reading in tokens, right?
Exactly.
It's mathematically predicting the next word. So a long, wandering metaphor it just confuses the math.
Precisely. A language model is trying to parse data as efficiently as possible. So when you bury your facts inside this meandering 3-paragraph story, the AI has to use significantly more computational power to figure out what the core data points even are.
So it just gives up.
Often, yeah. The crawler just won't bother. It will skip your beautiful narrative and find a site that just lists the facts. It completely changes content design from being about the flow of a story to the strict structure of the data.
Okay, so If the AI is looking for structure overflow, that leads us directly into the technical side of things, which is huge in the source material.
It's massive, yeah.
We all know a slow website is bad. Nobody likes waiting for a page to load. But the underlying reason a slow site penalizes you depends entirely on who or, what is trying to look at it.
Right, let's look at Google first. Google prioritizes page speed strictly for user experience, or UX. It uses these metrics called Core Web Vitals. You've probably heard the acronyms like LCP, CLS, or TTFB.
Oh yeah, those always sound like completely meaningless alphabet soup to me.
They do sound super technical, but they represent very human frustrations, like largest contentful paint, or LCP, is just how long it takes for the biggest image or block of text to actually show up on your screen.
Okay.
And cumulative layout shift, CLS, that's that infuriating moment when you go to click a button, but the page suddenly shifts downward,
I hate
then
that.
you click an ad instead, right?
Yeah.
Google measures these things because they annoy humans. If your site is slow and jumpy, Google slowly lowers your rank over time.
So Google is kind of like a patient but
Yeah.
very critical customer at a restaurant.
I like that, yeah.
Like, if the food takes too long or the waiter drops a fork, they might finish the meal, but they're going to leave you a 3-star review and maybe not recommend you next time.
Right.
But an AI crawler isn't a patient customer. From what Robinson describes, an AI crawler is more like a speeding freight train roaring into a station. If your cargo is not sitting on the platform the exact fraction of a millisecond those doors open, the train just leaves without you.
That is exactly it, because ChatGPT and answer engines, they fetch content in near real time to answer a user's prompt on the fly.
Right. The user is literally sitting there waiting for the text to generate.
Exactly. So if your server stumbles for even a moment, say it returns a timeout or a 5-minute server error, which is basically your server throwing up its hands and saying, I'm overloaded, come back later.
Yeah.
The AI crawler does not wait in line. It immediately bails and moves to the next source.
So there is no second chance.
None at all. With Google, if you have a bad server month, you fix your site speed, and over a few weeks, your rank gradually recovers. But for AI, speed isn't about user experience at all. It is about what Robinson terms crawl survivability.
Crawl survivability.
It is a totally binary state. Either you are instantaneously accessible to the crawler the moment it knocks, or you simply do not exist in the AI's universe.
Wow. Okay, so let's say your server has the horsepower. It survives the crawl. The train doors open. Your cargo gets loaded instantly.
Yep.
Now the AI actually has to open the boxes and read your content. If walls of text are out, what exactly does this extractable formatting actually look like?
The source calls this practice chunking.
Chunking.
Yeah. Designing for machines means breaking your writing down into explicitly defined visual elements. So we're talking about using clear H2 and H3 section headers, keeping paragraphs to just like 2 or 3 sentences, and heavily utilizing bullet points.
I imagine it loves data tables too.
Oh, it thrives on them. Data tables and statistics explicitly define the relationship between variables. An AI doesn't have to guess how 2 numbers relate if they are in a cleanly formatted table. It also highly favors pros and cons lists and clear, bolded definitions sitting directly underneath an H2 heading.
And what about FAQ sections? Because I see those everywhere now.
FAQs are critical provided they use FAQ schema markup.
Okay, explain schema markup really quick for people who might not know.
Sure, so schema markup is basically this invisible code wrapped around your text that speaks directly to search engines and crawlers. It explicitly says, hey, this specific sentence is a question, and this next sentence is the exact answer.
Got it. So it takes the guesswork out.
Exactly. And the reason AI loves FAQs so much is that those frequently asked questions often perfectly match the natural language prompts that human users are typing into ChatGPT.
Oh, that makes total sense. You're basically pre-packaging the answer in the exact format the AI needs to serve it.
Yeah.
But let's look at the actual words we use to label these pages, like meta titles and URLs, because Google is notorious for just rewriting your meta title on the search results page if it thinks it can get a better click-through rate from a human, right?
Oh, yeah. Google is obsessed with click-through rate psychology. It wants humans to click the link.
Right.
But AI engines use meta titles and descriptions completely differently. They use them as literal filters for qualification.
Literal filters.
Yeah, the AI isn't looking for a catchy emotional hook. It is looking for an exact literal match to the user's prompt.
Give me an example of how that plays out with URLs.
So take a messy auto-generated URL, something like yourwebsite.com post.id 8472.
Okay, the classic default link.
Right. Google's algorithm is smart enough to crawl the page, figure out what it's about, and rank it anyway. But an LLM relies heavily on semantic URLs and something like yourwebsite.com by myco-chatgpt-vs-google.
Because the URL string itself acts as this massive contextual clue before the AI even reads the page.
Exactly. When the LLM is breaking down the text into tokens, a semantic URL preloads the context weights. It instantly categorizes the content, which reduces the computational effort needed to extract the facts.
Wow. Okay, let me play devil's advocate here, because as someone who appreciates creative writing, this sounds a bit depressing.
And I get that.
Does this mean the end of clever copywriting? Like, let's say I run a cutting-edge marketing agency. I write this brilliant thought leadership piece on search trends, and I give it a punchy brand-focused title like the Next-Gen Visibility Framework.
Oh, boy.
Is the AI just going to completely ignore my masterpiece?
According to Robinson's framework, yes. It will almost certainly ignore it. He actually uses a very similar example. A highly literal, boring title like AI SEO strategy for agencies will heavily outperform a vague branding-first title like Next-Gen Visibility Framework.
So clarity beats cleverness every single time.
Every time. AI prefers absolute clarity over cleverness. It does not understand your marketing psychology, it doesn't care about your branding, and it cannot appreciate your clever wordplay.
It only cares about direct, literal alignment with what the user asks for.
Man, that is a tough pill to swallow for creative agencies. The machine doesn't get the pun, it just wants the raw data.
Exactly.
All right, so let's track our progress here on this deep dive. We've survived the crawl. We've chunked our data into beautiful little tables and literal H2s. We used a boring, highly literal title. The AI has extracted our information.
Yeah, you're looking good.
But wait, if a million other websites also have perfectly structured tables and literal URLs, how does the AI decide if your information is actually true? Like, how does it decide you are the one worth presenting to the user as a verified fact?
Now, this brings us to the trust layer. And the divergence from Google's model here is really profound. Think about how Google establishes trust. It evaluates backlinks, meaning how many other authoritative sites are linking to yours.
Right.
It looks at brand mentions across the web and the historical age of your domain.
Back to the popularity contest. If the cool kids link to you, you must be cool. Right. But an AI's trust model doesn't work like that at all. It relies on mathematical consensus. When ChatGPT scans multiple sources related to a prompt, it isn't looking for one winner. It is looking to see if multiple credible sources are saying the exact same thing about a topic.
Oh, wow.
If they are, that shared information gains massive weight. It essentially becomes the truth.
So it's actively looking for the industry consensus.
Yes. This is why hard data, original statistics, and industry-backed claims are so incredibly powerful for AI inclusion. If your data aligns with the broader consensus, or if you are the original source of the statistic that everyone else is citing, you become part of the generated answer.
What about those EEAT guidelines everyone in SEO always talks about? Experience, expertise, authority, and trust. Do those just go out the window if consensus is all that matters?
They don't go out the window, but their function changes completely. They are no longer just Google ranking factors. They have evolved into AI qualification filters.
How so? Like, what does that mean in practice?
To be trusted by an AI, you must demonstrate real-world implementation. You can't just be a generic blog that aggregates other people's articles anymore. An AI looks for proprietary frameworks, clear methodologies, and author transparency to weigh the validity of the data.
I see.
If you have unique expertise, the AI weighs your data more heavily when forming that consensus.
It sounds like the AI is acting as this rapid-fire investigative journalist. It doesn't just want one authoritative source to hand it a polished press release. It wants to go out and see the whole industry saying the same thing to corroborate this story.
That's a great way to think about it.
Which actually brings up a crucial point from the sources regarding freshness. Because an investigative journalist doesn't want a quote from 2019 to explain a trend happening today.
That freshness factor is a vital distinction because, Google doesn't always care about the published date. If an authoritative guide on a timeless topic was written 5 years ago, Google might still rank it #1.
Sure, if it's still good.
But AI evaluates recency heavily.
Because the world changes, and the AI wants the current state of reality.
Exactly. If you have a highly detailed article on AI SEO from 2022, ChatGPT will likely deprioritize it in favor of a newly updated article from 2026. AI engines want current frameworks. Displaying updated dates in your schema markup and on the page itself is absolutely critical for inclusion.
Wow, okay. Let's stick with that investigative journalist analogy for a second.
Hmm.
A good journalist doesn't just interview the CEOs and read the press releases, right? They go to the local diner or the town hall to hear how real people are actually talking about the issue.
Yeah.
In the internet's case, that local diner is Reddit. The source material points out that large language models pull heavily from conversational platforms like Reddit and Quora.
They really do.
Why are they prioritizing forums over polished corporate blogs?
Because of the phrasing. Remember, these are language models. They train their prediction engines on natural human dialogue. The messy, informal way people ask questions and explain things to each other on Reddit perfectly matches how users actually type prompts into ChatGPT.
Oh, the irony of that is amazing. Traditional SEO experts have spent the last decade tearing their hair out, trying to outrank forum sites.
It's so true.
They hated that a messy Reddit thread would sometimes beat their perfectly polished, thousand-word blog post. But now, AI actively learns from those exact forums because that's where the genuine human language lives.
It is deeply ironic, but it reinforces why your FAQ sections, which we talked about earlier, why they need to be written in conversational, plain English.
Right.
You have to sound like a human asking a question to satisfy the machine's pattern matching. It highlights exactly why AI SEO is an additional strategic layer. You aren't abandoning traditional SEO, you're layering extractability, authority, consensus, and survivability on top of it.
Okay, we need to address the elephant in the room. We've covered the technical setup, the chunking, the consensus building. We know how to get the AI to read our data.
Yep.
But what is the actual tangible payoff for a business going through this entire implementation framework? The Force talks about surviving the shift to the new position zero.
Yeah, so position zero used to mean getting that featured snippet at the very top of Google. Now, position zero means being the embedded answer in an AI overview.
Right.
Generative answers are fundamentally changing click-through rate behavior across the web. We just have to face the reality that a user might get their entire answer from the AI, solve their problem, and never actually click a link to visit your website.
And that right there is the terrifying million-dollar question for every website owner listening.
Yeah.
If users aren't clicking through to my website anymore, how do I actually capture leads?
It's the big question.
Like, if I am a business owner and you're telling me I'm going to get zero traffic from this AI, why should I spend any time or money optimizing for it?
Because AI SEO isn't just about driving raw traffic anymore, it's about driving influence. Even without clicks, if your brand is the one consistently being recommended in those generative answers, it establishes massive brand recognition. It acts as branding at scale.
Okay, walk me through the mechanics of that. How does that turn into a customer?
Think about the psychological impact and the user journey. If a user asks an AI how to solve a complex marketing problem, and ChatGPT says, you can approach this using the extraction framework developed by Smart Target Digital.
Right.
That user's buying perception is shaped before they ever even look for a website.
Oh, I see. You're shaping the decision before they even know they're making a decision. They aren't clicking a link in the AI interface, but the next thing they do is open a new tab and search directly for Smart Target Digital.
Exactly.
You skip the generic discovery phase entirely.
You do. You become the specific solution they seek out. So to capture leads in the zero-click environment, your content strategy has to shift. You must include clear branded methodologies and calls to action within your informational content because that informational text is what the AI is scraping and synthesizing.
Oh, okay.
You have to build brand authority consistently so the AI recognizes you as a key player. And you must optimize your service pages specifically for conversational AI prompts, not just, generic short-tail keywords.
You are basically trying to inject your brand into the AI's internal knowledge graph so it acts as your ultimate referral engine. Let me try to summarize this entire journey we've just been on because it is a massive shift in how we think about the web.
It really is.
We are moving away from the old world of the beauty pageant. We're no longer just chasing blue links, dressing up with clever meta tags, writing long, wandering stories, and hoping a search engine thinks we're popular enough to show to a human.
Yep.
We are entering a new reality of cross-examination. It starts with crawl survivability. Can your server handle the speeding freight train of an AI crawler without throwing a 5 ratio error? Then it moves to content chunking. Are your facts cleanly organized into data tables, bullet points, and literal H2 headers so the machine can instantly extract them through tokens? And finally, it relies on industry consensus and freshness. Does the rest of the web agree with your data? And is it the most recently updated framework available? It's no longer about whether your page is pretty to look at. It's about whether your data is structured, fast, and trusted enough for a machine to synthesize it into a single, definitive answer.
That is a perfect synthesis of the framework. AI SEO doesn't kill traditional SEO, it builds on it. It is SEO plus extractability.
For you, the listener, whether you are optimizing a business website, whether you're a creator sharing research, or you're just, a curious person trying to understand why the internet looks so different today than it did 3 years ago,
Right.
remember that absolute clarity and extractability are the new currency. If you want to be heard in the AI era, you have to stop trying to be the prettiest link and start working to be the undeniable source.
Absolutely.
But I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder, something to chew on that builds on everything we've just discussed about formatting for machines. If the entire internet is actively restructuring itself right now to be perfectly chunked, totally literal, and easily digested by AI crawlers, if it's perfectly chunked,
Right.
what happens to the human joy of discovery? Like, if every website eventually becomes just one giant, highly efficient database of bullet points, tables, and semantic URLs, where will we go to find a beautifully written, wandering narrative?
That's a profound question.
Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.